Tra 5 minuti iniziamo. Buongiorno a tutti, un saluto particolare e un ringraziamento a Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Luigi Bonazzi, Nunzio Apostolico in Albania, al Dottor Santer, Direttore Generale della Università Cattolica di Tirana, a Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Simon Chiulli, infaticabile artefice di questa nostra presenza in Albania e di queste giornate. Cari colleghi, cari amici tutti, quando alcuni anni fa incontrai Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Chiulli, per la prima volta ebbi subito la certezza che in Albania si sarebbe creata un'associazione nazionale dei medici cattolici. Perché questa sensazione? Perché la visita alla sua diocesi di Sape, dove voi sapete è nata Madre Teresa, fu per me un aprire gli occhi su una comunità cattolica che viveva profondamente il Vangelo. La cattedrale aveva accanto il suo episcopio, come tutte le nostre cattedrali, ma accanto aveva anche una casa di accoglienza e di carità per disabili e anziani. Veramente incarnate le parole di San Paolo: la fede senza le opere è vana, e qua la fede aveva le opere accanto. La prima sera che ho passato a Sape, appena arrivato alcuni anni fa, trovai tante persone attorno a un'immagine bellissima della Madonna in preghiera, nel giardino tra la cattedrale e la Casa della Carità, come a far da ponte tra la fede e l'azione, e dando un senso profondo al significato del pregare. La storia della Chiesa albanese è eroica, colma di martiri e di persecuzioni da parte del regime comunista. Ma i credenti, nel silenzio, hanno continuato a tenere vivo il legame con Cristo e a tramandare la fede. Davvero il sangue dei martiri è stato seme per la rinascita della Chiesa Cattolica in Albania. Così, dopo un lungo e drammatico inverno di morte e di persecuzione, quei semi di fede sono tornati a germogliare. E oggi l'Albania ha 6 diocesi, attivissime, giovanissime. Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Chiulli è stato il primo vescovo albanese ordinato dopo la fine del comunismo. E dopo di lui Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Giorgio Meta, mio amico personale dai tempi del seminario a Bari e che ho avuto anche occasione di avere come paziente. In Albania si incontrano e dialogano cattolici, ortodossi e musulmani, ma anche non credenti, che sono il frutto di tanti anni di dittatura atea. Quale terra allora scegliere per una riflessione della Federazione Europea delle Associazioni dei Medici Cattolici sul dialogo interreligioso? Negli ospedali albanesi i medici e gli infermieri di credi diversi lavorano insieme ogni giorno, condividendo il servizio ai malati. Sono esempi di dialoghi concreti, quelli che mutano lo sguardo sull'altro e che cambiano il corso della storia dell'umanità e di cui tanto abbiamo bisogno. Così a novembre 2021 c'è stata la prima riunione a Scutari dei medici cattolici albanesi e poi la costituzione ufficiale dell'associazione riconosciuta da parte della Conferenza dei Vescovi albanesi lo scorso anno. Non potevamo non condividere con loro questa bellissima scelta. Ecco, siamo qui a Tirana, venuti da 21 paesi diversi d'Europa, qui a Tirana, dove minareti e campanili convivono, per prendere il passo insieme, come i discepoli di Emmaus con Gesù risorto. Noi proveniamo da popoli diversi, da nazioni diverse, ma vogliamo fortemente camminare con i medici cattolici e con il popolo dell'Albania, per costruire insieme orizzonti nuovi di speranza e di servizio, per costruire insieme al più presto una vera casa comune d'Europa. Siamo tutti popoli fratelli, nessuno escluso, e il nostro auspicio è che presto l'Albania entri a far parte dell'Unione d'Europa. Un pensiero va agli amici della Chiesa greco-cattolica di Ucraina, che in questo momento non è qui presente con noi per la guerra che imperversa, una guerra di aggressione. Il nostro pensiero è per loro perché capiamo quello che stanno subendo e sono realmente anch'essi una Chiesa martire che speriamo presto possa tornare nella pace e nella serenità a vivere il futuro, un futuro che auspichiamo avvenga molto presto. L'incontro di oggi è un incontro veramente di grazia, Il mio vecchio assistente di Azione Cattolica, quando ero giovane medico, diceva sempre: ricordati che è la grazia che guida le azioni degli uomini e le vivifica. Ecco, io vivo questa giornata come veramente un incontro di grazia. Viviamolo con semplicità, gioia, spirito di accoglienza, cuore aperto, mente libera, fiducia nel Signore. Lui ci traccerà la strada e guiderà i nostri passi. Noi siamo qui per servire il Vangelo e per servire il Signore e null'altro. Ringrazio ancora Sua Eccellenza Monsignor Chiulli per il grande impegno che ha profuso perché si realizzasse questo incontro. Ringrazio tantissimo la direzione dell'Ospedale Cattolico di Tirana, Fra Ruggero, e tanti di voi hanno contribuito all'organizzazione di questo nostro bureau e di questo convegno. Dio ve ne renda merito a ciascuno di voi. Ricordiamoci nella preghiera sempre e raccomandiamo il Santo Padre che sa di questo incontro e ci segue anche lui. Quindi grazie, buon incontro, buon cammino e veramente viva l'Albania e i medici cattolici d'Albania.
Shumë i dashur nunci apostolik, Monsignor Luigi Bonazzi, shumë i dashur Monsignor Enzo Pegoraro, i pranishëm sot në takimin ton, shumë të dashur mjek dhe infermier të pranishëm nga shumë vende të ndryshme të Europës, jemi sot të gjithë së bashkut në këtë sallë të Universitetit të Zojës së Këshillit Mirë në Tiranë. Shumë i dashur drejtori Spitalit Zoja Këshillit Mirë, Zoti Sandërdheshaj, shumë të dashur mjek dhe infermier të besimeve të ndryshme, të pranishëm nga gjithë Shqipëria, faleminderit për pranin tuaj sot dhe për misionin tuaj human që e kryeni në spitalet, në qendrat tuaja ku ju shërbeni me duart tuaja të arta. Ju jeni martirët e sotëm, sepse ju keni ditë me përballu kohën e Covidit, me një zemër të hapur, me një zemër plot me dashuri që e keni shpreh ndaj se cilit njeri që e keni taku gjatë ditëve të jetës tuaj në shërbimin si mjek, si infermier, si vullnetar. Kështu që ju falenderoj nga zemra për shërbimin që ju e kryeni në çdo vend. Dëshiroj në këtë ditë t'ju drejtoj disa fjalë dhe mendime lidhur me mësimet dhe porosinë e Papa Franciskut. Ai thoshte, smundja është pjesë e përvojës sonë njerëzore, mirë po ajo nuk mund të çnjerëzojë nëse jetohet, mund të bëhet shnjerëzore nëse jetohet në izolim dhe në braktisje, nëse nuk shoqërohet nga kujdesi dhe mshuria. Në ecjen së bashku, është normale që dikush të ndihet keq, ta ketë të nevojshme që të ndalojë për shkak të lodhjes ose për shkak të ndonjë aksidenti gjatë rrugtimit. Pikrisht aty, në ato momente, ne i shohim se si po ecim. Nëse është e vërtet një ecje së bashku, apo nëse ne në të njëjtën rrugë, por se cili për llogaritë e vet, duke kujdesuar për interesat e veta dhe duke i lënë të tjerët të ndreqen ashtu si të mundën. Prandaj në mes të një udhëtimi sinodal, thot Papa, ju ftoj që të reflektoni me faktin se pikrisht përmes përvojës së brishtësisë dhe smundjes, ne mund të mësojmë që të ecim së bashku sipas stilit të hyjit, që është afërsia dhe mshuria dhe butësia. Kulmin e së vërtetës shëlbimpruese e gjejmë në besim dhe në dashuri vepruese. Është vërtet thelbësore e besimit të gjallë se hyji është dashuri. Jemi krijuar nga dashuria krijuese e hyjit, e për këtë dashuri edhe na ka shëlbuar. Shërbimi krishter i shëndetit apo kujdesit për shëndetin është e mundur vetëm në shikimin në Krishtin, të cilën e njohim për shëlbuesin ton. E gjejmë shpëtimin dhe mjekun hynor, dhe shëlbimi dhe shëndeti janë ngushtë të lidhura njëra me tjetra. Zoti na mëson se si duhet edhe ne të kujdesemi për shëndetin e të smurit. Mjafton që të përmendim këtu shembullin e Samaritanit të mirë, kujdesi i tij për të smurin e sulmuar prej cubave. Krishti na mëson dhe na nxit se si duhet të kemi dashuri dhe dhimbje ndaj atyre që janë në vuajtje edhe në ditët e sotme. Sot mjekësia ka përparuar shumë, ka arritur rezultate shumë të mëdha, por në anën tjetër është varfëruar sepse ka humbur dashurinë. Është detyrë të angazhohemi, të mundohemi që mjekësisë dhe kujdesit për shëndetin t'i kthehet dashuria. Ky vërtet hynor, të cilën jemi të thirrur të gjithë që ta marrim prej Zotit, që është dashuri, dhe atë ta adhurojmë për tjetrin. Shën Tereza Kalkutës, nana jon Tereze, na mëson me shembullin jetësor, dhe ajo thoshte, s'ka rëndësi se sa shumë bën, por ka rëndësi se sa dashuri vendos në atë çka ti bën. Shëndeti është një e mirë, dhurat prej Zotit, që i dhurohet secilit personalisht, dhe kjo në vetvete përfshin përgjegjësinë personale, rreth kujdesit për shëndetin personal dhe për përgjegjësinë për kujdesin edhe të tjerëve. Dëshiroj këtu krejt shkurtimisht një shembull të një fëmije që e kemi ne në dioqezën tonë në shtëpinë e bamirësisë, një fëmijë i vogël me smundje shumë të mëdha, quhet Pashku. Para disa viteve u sëmur dhe shkume në spital. Normal që doktorrat, mjekët e dinë kur i shohin analizat, sepse janë shumë pa shpresë për jetën. E unë i falenderoj të gjithë mjekët që tashma nga shpirti dhe zemra atyre ato thojnë të vërtetën se si duhet ne të sillemi me atë shtresë që ka nevojë. E gjatë rezultateve të analizave rezultonte shumë e rëndë. E kur kthehemi pas disa kohëve, ne i vazhdojmë ecjen tonë. E doktoresha, e doktori, thot po, ky jeton fal dashurisë tuaj që i shërbeni, që e doni, që i buzëqeshni, që gjithë shka bani me këtë fëmijë. Dashuria ma në jetë. Kështu që mora këtë shembull vërtet që dëshirova të bashkëndaj me ju që edhe ju të gjithë sot të pranishëm këtu, mjek, infermier, vullnetar, jepni këtë ilaç, që është ilaçi më i bukur që shëron gjitha smundjet më të rënda që mund të jenë në botën e sotme. Dhuroni dashuri. Nana Tereza na mëson sa shumë smundje ka sot, por cila është më e rënda, cila është më e madhja? Smundja më e madhe sot nuk është gërbula, as tuberkulozi, as Covid-19, as kanceri, por ndjenja se je i pa dëshiruar, se je i pa kujdesur dhe i lën nga të gjithë në njërën anë. Kjo është e keqja më e madhe dhe mungesa e dashurisë dhe ngushëllimit, ftohtësia të mërshme ndaj të afërmit. Kjo është smundja sotme. Askush nuk mund të jetë i përjashtuar nga dashuria jon, nga çasti kur me mishërimin e birit të Zotit, që është bashkuar në një farë mënyre me çdo njeri, i krishteri duhet të mësojë të bëjë veprat e tij të besimit në Zotin. Bëhet fjalë për vazhdimin e një tradite të dashurisë, që 2000 vjetet e kaluara ka pasur shumë shprehje, por që sot kërkon akoma edhe më shumë imagjinat. Është koha për një pasqyrim të ri të dashurisë, që përhapet jo vetëm në efikasitetin e ndihmës së dhënë, por në aftësinë solidare me atë që vuan. Kisha nuk ka modele të tjera të propozuara përveç mbështetjes dhe udhëzimit që na jep Ungjilli. Shembulli më i mirë është ai që thaç i Samaritanit të mirë në Ungjillin e Lukës: shkallë ti, vepro dhe bëj të njëjtën gjë, shërbej, shëroje, lyja plagët. Ky është, dhe kjo është ecja secilit prej nesh. Feja në vepër është dashuri, dashuria në vepër është shërbim, thot nana jon Tereze. Dhe përfundoj, për ne dashuria është fryti i fesë në Zotin, sepse ajo është dashuria e mishëruar, hyjnore në veprim, e cila na mëson që na ndihmon dhe na aftëson për dhurim për dashuri në radhë të parë ndaj Zotit, pastaj edhe ndaj të tjerëve. Njerëzit janë të krijuar për gjëra të mëdha, për të dashur dhe për të qenë të dashur, thot nana jon Tereze. E Papa Francisku komenton dhe nxit me fjalët e Jezusit: kujdesu për të. Atë që na ndodh edhe ne në jetën e përditshme kur shkojmë diku në spital ose në një vend, i thonë infermierit, i thonë doktorit: të lutem, kujdesu për të, sa të jetë e mundshme. Këtë na nxit edhe Papa Francisku, edhe Ungjilli thot kujdesu për të. Kjo është në fakt edhe është porosia Samaritanit për bujtinarin. Jezusi parashtron edhe secilit prej nesh, edhe në fund na nxit: shko e bëj edhe ti kështu. Siç e kam nënvizuar, në të mund të rindërtohet një bashkësi, duke filluar nga burra dhe gra, që marrin përsipër dobësinë të tjerëve, që nuk lejojnë të ndërtohet një shoqëri përjashtimi, por bën të afërt dhe ngrem dhe rinkëmbim njeriu në rrëzuar, me qëllim që e mira le të jetë e jona, e përbashkët. Për një mend jemi krijuar për plotësinë që arrihet vetëm me dashuri. Të jetojmë pa përfillje përpara dhimbjes nuk është një zgjedhje e mundshme. Ja besojmë ndërmjetësimit të Marisë, Zojës së Këshillit të Mirë, shëndetin e të smurve, çdo njërin për jush që shërben, mjek, infermier, vullnetar, çdo familje, si edhe punën që ju e kryeni me shumë përkushti dhe me shumë dashuri. Faleminderit.
Grazie Monsignor Chiulli. Adesso Adesso la parola a Monsignor Renzo Pegoraro, che ringrazio tantissimo, è cancelliere della Pontificia Accademia per la Vita, antico amico, e che saluto con grande affetto e ringrazio per essere venuto qui in maniera straordinaria a donarci la sua parola e anche l'esperienza della Pontificia Accademia che tanto è vicina alla federazione e quindi siamo molto contenti di averlo qui. Grazie Don Rex.
Grazie. I'm sorry to speak in English. That is not my mother language, but I hope that it is a clear English and you can understand with the translation or directly. And many thanks for this invitation. So my greetings and thanks to the organizer of this event, of course the president, Dr. De Filippis, the Bureau and all the members of the European Federation of Catholic Medical Association. But of course, a special greetings to the Nuncio in Albania and the Bishop Simon for the introduction and the hospitality, and the director and the president of this university and this hospital. That is really, I think, a very interesting challenge to develop in this country, to create this university and to develop this hospital, to offer this sign of charity and hope in Albania. And so I appreciate a lot this your important work in this area. And my also the greeting also by Bishop Paglia, the Chancellor, the President, sorry, of the Pontifical Academy for Life in Rome. I start my presentation with some key concepts that we use when we talk about faith, religion, spirituality, and medical care. And it is important to clarify and to see which kind of relationships are present. And of course, I'll try also to stress the focus or my slides and of my lecture, that is the human person, the man or the woman, as a center of the mission of the Church, but also the center of meeting and dialogue among culture and religions, in which way we are able to rediscover and to put the human being, the human person, at the center of our approach, our culture, and our work. That was the focus of John Paul II. He stressed that the human person is the way of the Church and the culture in the world, but it is the same for Pope Francis. The concrete human person is at the center of the mission of the Church, but also the center of the dialogue among human beings. And particularly Pope Francis is stressing that we are all brothers and sisters. So if we recognize the man and the woman at the center, we are able to recognize that there is a universal brotherhood, there is a universal fraternity, there is a universal community. We are part of the same human family living in the common home that is our world. I try to explain at the beginning this key concept: spirituality, religion, psychology, medical ethics and bioethics, and medical professionalism. About spirituality, spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves. And it typically involves a search for meaning in life. As such, it is a universal human experience. For every man and woman, there is the experience and tendency about spirituality. That is a fundamental dimension of our human identity, something that touches all. People may describe a spiritual experience as sacred or transcendent, as a religion, or simply a deep sense of aliveness and interconnectedness. About a religion, according to social science, religion is the set of beliefs, feelings, dogmas, and practice that define the relations between human being and sacred or divinity. A religion may be defined with its three great characteristics: beliefs and religious practice, the religious feeling, virtue, the virtue of faith, unity in a community of those who share the same faith, for example, the Church or Catholic Church. And of course, following different religions, there are different doctrines and practice. And the religion is still very important in our modern world. Approximately 84% of the world population report a religious affiliation. About 31 Christianity, 23% Islam, 15 Hinduism, and so on. There is still a strong experience to be part of a religion. Okay, with some different levels of practice and to really be active members inside the community. But for many, many people, religion is still important. It's still relevant. Of course, in this modern or postmodern society with all the problems that we have. In the United States, there is because this research came from and published 6 years ago in the United States, they can confirm that the religion is also very important in the experience of illness, care, and in which way health and suffering and the people that take care of you are relevant in this religious perception and experience. Psychology comes from Greek psyche, the word of mind or soul, and logos means discourse. In other words, psychology is the study with the methods of empirical science of the functions that can be referred to the mind or the soul. Therefore, psychology deals with the processes of sense perception, thinking, learning, cognition, emotions, and motivation and personality, focus on the behavior of individuals. Many of these experiences are studied, are experiences at the level of spirituality and religion. So there is a kind of overlapping of this experience. So emotion, feeling, memory, free will, and so on. They are experiences that create a bridge between psychology, spirituality, and religion. So I try to present very quickly which kind of dialogue, interaction between, for example, spirituality and religion. A debate with many connotations. So religion and spirituality are two related yet distinct terms associated with faith. Spirituality refers to an interior dynamic of a search for meaning in life. We are not only material people, so that it is connected with an experience of the individual person and transcendence. Religion has an institutional dimension and refers to a set of truth and practice, somehow dependent on the divine revelation, that are also relevant in the public sphere and have a social impact. Even if it is not impossible to be religious without being spiritual, and spiritual without being religious. We have this experience in the society, but it is old problem, as Jesus with the Pharisees. There was a problem of to be religious, but the spirituality was not so clear. But the two dimensions, spirituality and religion, are normally connected and not in alternative, one to respect to the other. In modern society, there is a risk to stress more on spirituality without a religion. So it is important also to enter in this dynamics and to see in which way to help the people to clarify the spirituality and in which way the religion can offer a good spirituality. For example, the Christian religion has a lot to offer as a spirituality. We don't need to go about a New Age or Asiatic spirituality to integrate our religion and spirituality. And the same relationship between psychology and spirituality. A sharp divide. Spirituality and psychology are two complex subjects to discuss, and they become even more complicated when you try to relate one to the other. There is a great debate between practitioners of psychology and those of spirituality. The major difference among them is the methodological approach. The object of psychology is framed by the conceptual and practical tools that are specific of empirical science, while spirituality is, in a broader sense, referred to the existential experience. And religions versus psychology, room for dialogue. The relationship between religion and psychology usually involves the study of religious belief and behavior from a psychological perspective. So psychology tries to understand the religious experience, but the religious experience is not possible to reduce only to psychological dynamics and aspects. Emerging research is showing that spiritually integrated approaches to treatment are as effective as other treatments. There is a good scientifically based reason to be more sensitive to religion and spirituality in clinical practice. Now there is a lot of interest how to include permanently, regularly, spirituality and religion in clinical practice. So to take care, to cure, to treat a patient is not only to treat a body, but a person. And person has also a psychological, spiritual, religious dimension that are very relevant for a good care, a good treatment, and a good results in medical experience. Psychologists are now developing and evaluating a variety of spiritually integrated approaches to treatment. That is a field of a special dialogue among the different professionals. We talk a lot about a team approach, multidisciplinary approach, multi-professional approach, particularly in some areas, for example, cancer patient or chronic disease, Parkinson, or Alzheimer, and so on. So in which way the doctor, the psychologist, but also the spiritual professional or chaplain or priest can help together to offer the good care for that patient in that context. It's not more possible that a doctor alone, because there are a lot of psychological and spiritual aspects that we need to take into consideration and we need to help and support. So the experience to be ill and the experience to be cared, to be healed, is an experience that involves all dimensions of a human being. The body, the mind, the psyche, and the soul. And for this reason, it is important to offer this more broad and completed approach. But also the doctor, the nurse, or other healthcare workers must be recognized that the doctor and the nurse are persons, human beings, with physical, spiritual, and psychological dimension. That in this way is possible to have really a dialogue, a healing meeting, encounter, and to offer good care for this specific patient. It's really a challenge now, because medicine was fragmented in different specializations, different parts of the human being, and it is really difficult to recreate the unity of the person in the specific experience of the disease. About this approach, try to define better which kind of aspects are involved when we talk about religion, spirituality, psychology, and how it's possible to translate all these issues in a moral behavior, in moral attitude, in moral decision at the bedside in front of the patient. I focus now about some aspect of Christian tradition and approach. So the central points of Christianity and the anthropological correlates. So in which way from the faith, from the Christian perspective, this faith becomes values and principles in the concrete setting of care. So from faith to the concrete decisions. And this process is, for some reason, a specific of a Christian approach. But of course, there are some values and principles that are common to all medical experiences, all caring experiences. So the central points of Christianity, is Jesus, true God and true man, and the mystery of incarnation. So God becomes man and enter in our human condition. God is a Trinity, so it's a communion and love. God the Father Creator, God the Son Redeemer, Holy Spirit, source of life and love, community of the saved and saving. These are the basic concepts of our identity. What is the meaning to be Christian? From this, we have some anthropological views, concepts, correlates, that they help to understand the mystery of a human being, of a human person, and in which way to approach the human person. So the creation of man in the image and likeness of God is meaning of intrinsic, indestructible dignity of the person created in the image and likeness of God, and the meaning of freedom and responsibility of each human being. Incarnation lays the foundation for radical equality and brotherhood among humans, communion and solidarity, fundamental value of bodily existence. Our body is expression of our human identity. We are not only the body. We are all of psyche, we are all spirit, we are soul. But the body is not an instrument, but is a part of our identity. What is the meaning of the body? Because now there is a strong tension of a new dualism approach to separate mind and body, spirit and body, and to use the body as an instrument for aesthetic, for sport, for commercial activity, for many things. But when we talk about the human body, we are talking about the human person. Passion, death, and resurrection of Christ. So the experience of liberation and overcoming of suffering and death itself. So suffering and death are not the last words, they are not the last experiences. For this reason, there is a hope when also there are no results in the human perspective. That is really a challenge, for example, in many chronic diseases. We know that there is no recovery, no solution. For many people, now the situation changed a lot, but many people with cancer at a metastatic level, there is not really, okay, the miracle is always possible, but it's a decision of God. But which hope when there is no possibility of a recovery of that situation? Which kind of hope when there is Alzheimer? So, do you know Alzheimer, the dementia, and the process of dementia, and we maintain the relationship with the ill person with a hope that is a different hope. Which kind of hope we are able to maintain when there are no medical results? And there is a specific area that is a problem now in many Western countries. I don't know in Albania, I hope that you are in a better condition. That is all the psychiatric area. With a lot of people with psychiatric disease, they don't have really hope to resolve the problems. They are all chronic, more or less stable. And you have some success, and in a few years you come back. It's a process up and down continuously. Which kind of hope when the apparently reason is not really clearly present, but spirit is present? So which kind of hope when you have this kind of a condition? And finally, judgment emphasizes the impermanence and relativity of all human judgment, nurturing continued hope that we believe that there is a meaning and a human experience also when there are no success in the medical practice. So, briefly, some fundamental ethical values: centrality of a human person is inherent dignity, sacredness of human life and its intangibility, corporeality and meaning and value of sexuality, human rights, health and its promotion, care, all the aspects of care, relieving pain and suffering, common good, solidarity, justice, because there is a particular attention, interest for the poor people, vulnerable people, the people that are not immediately in the trend of success and results in our society. And so there are some basic operational principles from faith, values, and practical principles. Dignity of the human person, fundamental equality among all people, golden rule, solidarity and justice, commandment as thou shalt not kill. One can never directly kill the innocent person. And a very concrete principle as a principle of totality, principle concerning sexuality and procreation, principle of double effect, principle of cooperation with the evil, in which cases, which kind of cooperation in some context, that what is the meaning of that. So, about medical ethics and bioethics, medical ethics traditionally refer to the deontology of the medical profession, to codes of conduct, to apply knowledge and skill for the patient's good, physical, psychological, spiritual, social. The reference here of Dr. Pellegrino and Professor Henk Tenave are very interesting. What is the identity of the doctor and in which way medical ethics is still important in our identity and tradition. Bioethics, it is a new movement, a kind of a new approach, interdisciplinarity, social and public dimension, dialogue with the internal morality of doctors. So the external morality of the society and the internal morality of the medical profession. And that is the definition of an encyclopedia of bioethics of 1995. So the systematic study of the moral dimension, including moral vision, decision, conduct, guidelines of the life and the health science through a variety of ethical methodologies in an interdisciplinary context. And the last lines are a repetition of that. But it is interesting that for John Paul II in Evangelium Vitae, bioethics is a sign of hope. Especially significant is the reawakening of an ethical reflection on issues affecting life. The emergence and ever more widespread development of bioethics is promoting more reflection and dialogue between believers and non-believers, as well as between followers of different religions, on ethical problems, including fundamental issues pertaining to human life. So bioethics could be a very important room, space, opportunity of dialogue between believers or non-believers, or believers of different religions, because we have important challenges, problems about human life, and in which to take care of human life. In which way is possible to have a dialogue together, to see what is possible to do. And I conclude this key concept with the medical professionalism, a structured system of values and professional skills referring to medical identity, virtues, abilities of communication, and collaboration oriented to the patient, the family, the other professional care works. Main ethical dimensions are excellence, accountability, altruism, and humanism. Now there is a big discussion throughout the world. What is the meaning to be a doctor now? In the area of artificial intelligence, of social media, when all people can write or speak, but we don't recognize the expertise. And the experience of COVID-19, I don't know how was the situation in Albania, but in many countries there was a strong conflict between the scientific community, the medical community, and the society. What is the meaning of trust? In which way to have a dialogue? To be a person, a citizen, doesn't mean that I am expert. And when a doctor has studied about 20, 25 years if you start at 5 or 6 years old to arrive at 30 years old as a specialist, to be able to cure and care a person. Why your opinion is not relevant in the public debate? Why there is no trust and no dialogue? What is the role in the society to be a doctor and expert in healing? And I conclude with some slides about this old Latin expression of the doctor, vir bonus sanandi peritus. So, good man or good woman, expert in caring and in healing. What is the meaning to be a good person, expert in healing? How to combine these two fundamental characteristics of the identity of a doctor? The doctor existed before the Christianity. You know, Hippocrates or Galeno, or all the tradition in all countries in the past old times. But for the Christianity, there is a broader horizon of meaning and perspective. A global focus on human being, care of the suffering as a service, care for all, especially the poor and abandoned. There is something new in the identity of the doctor, to be a vir bonus and sanandi peritus. So there is a kind of messianic therapy, eliminates symptoms and ill affections, opens to God's action and reintegrates community relations. The Christian doctor, who stands in the following of the Messiah, consciously promotes a total healing action that goes beyond what science society recognizes as specific to his profession. So there is a special focus on ethics of virtues, which focus on the physicians knowing how to be, i.e. answering the question, how should I be? There are natural capacities that must be complemented with intellectual and moral virtues, the latter being the result of the subject's free and constant commitment to be good, honest, sincere, compassionate, respectful, etc. Moral virtue characterizes in depth and stability the person's actions for the good. It is a disposition that makes one a certain type of person, to describe which we can recall St. Thomas Aquinas' classical conception, habitus operativus bonus, a good operative habit of the subject. To become permanently honest, compassionate, trustful, able to take care of the patient. That is my structure, my identity, my permanent habits. Take up this message with reference to the physician. One can recognize the doctor fragile and a weak human condition. So also a doctor is a fragile human being. Is not a Superman or with the characteristic that to resolve all problems. Because his ability is to compatire, suffer together, to offer himself with his dedication and competence, to help those who suffer. He is a wounded healer. According to an expression used by many in literature now, aware of his or her own vulnerability, but able to involve and commit himself to a healthy and healing relationship. So in which way the doctor is more responsible to take care, but in this specific human relationship of vulnerable, because all persons are vulnerable people. So the doctor, in the Christian perspective, recognizes himself in his own human frailty, is neither omnipotent nor magical, but knows how to place himself before the other, before God, to serve the other, the brother or sister in need of care. That is, it pushes the doctor out of a certain self-referentiality, out of the pursuit of self-interest, and opens to a spirit of service for the other, with the other. For the Christian doctor, the virtue of religion means treating the patient as Christ. For a Jewish doctor, recognize the patient as a child of God. For an Islamic doctor, is also to recognize the dignity of each patient. Also for an agnostic doctor, religion could be the religion of Galen and Hippocratic, for whom contact with the extraordinary system of the body was a contact with the quid divinum. There is something that is not only material when you are in touch with a human being and when you take care of a human body. Healthy transcendent perspective leads the physician to look beyond his narrow visual perspectives, to be open to the mystery of the other, which is always a provocation and a call to encounter, especially if he or she is sick and suffering. The encounter is the central part of caring and healing. I am a doctor, I am responsible with knowledge and skill to take care, to treat, but also the patient has to collaborate to resolve the problems. Both must be active, not only one active and one passive. Of course, it's an asymmetrical relationship. It's not at the same level and the same quality. But we need to be all participants in the process of healing. And this encounter, lived in charity, in compassion, in alliance, becomes an experience that elevates, rises, makes both doctor and patient grow in humanity. The one who grows in sensitivity, competence, moral stature, and the one who grows in relief, hope, autonomy. The doctor will also be able to recognize the spiritual needs of the patient, belonging to human nature, even if there is no religious reference. But if you are a human being, you have a spiritual dimension. And I need to recognize and to respect and to help to rediscover your spiritual resources for this situation. And that is the last slide by a speech of John Paul II. Indeed, all care inherently involves reciprocity and requires genuinely human relationships. On the one hand, the act by which the sick person entrusts himself to you, doctor, contains within itself, more or less explicitly, an acknowledgement of your competence and expertise and assent to your work and trust in your discretion and responsibility. On the other hand, you, yourselves, doctors, need to understand the patient in all his experience in order to offer him personalized care. It is therefore necessary to establish a link between the psychoaffective sphere of the sufferer and your inner world as man before being professionals. The patient-doctor relationship must therefore increasingly become an authentic encounter between two free persons. Free man is a human person. Between a trust and a conscience. So we need to encourage the patient to rediscover a trust in the responsibility, education, expertise of the doctors that are able to take care of my existential situation in the team with other professionals, psychologists, spiritual, pastor, and so on. But on the other side, the doctor must be able to rediscover the moral conscience to be a healer. That you have knowledge, you have skill, you have responsibilities to enter in a good, authentic encounter with the patient and try to help the patient to resolve the problems. I'm not the only solution as a doctor. We work together, but I remember that I help the patient, I not substitute the patient. In many cases, Jesus in the Gospel says, your faith saved you. So your also belief, your wish to resolve the problem, your active participation is basic for also my role as a doctor, and I have a good conscience that I can help you to resolve the problem, and together we become more human because we make the experience of a fundamental human experience to cooperate together against the disease, against the vulnerability, against the death, because we are together in the same enterprise, in the same effort. Thank you for your attention.
Ringrazio Don Renzo per questa straordinaria lezione magistrale, frutto anche non solo degli anni della bioetica con Monsignor Sgreccia, ma anche dell'esperienza nell'Accademia Pontificia per la Vita che riverbera tutta. Bene, mettiamoci un momento di pausa, adesso c'è il coffee break, abbiamo esattamente 20 minuti di pausa e poi riprendiamo subito i lavori con la tavola rotonda. Bene, grazie.
Kafe është këtu në korridor majtas. Jasnej.
Ano, ta umělá inteligencia nás skutečně zabíja. Hej, to je umělá inteligencia, že?
Welcome back in this meeting. In the second part of this conference, we will have a discussion, a round-table discussion with you, and especially on cooperation with other religions. So it might be on a dialogue with other people from other religions. It might be on cooperation with people from other religions. And first of all, I will share my experience with you. My name is Fondacionit Zoja, and I am a nephrologist working in University Hospital in the Netherlands. So my experience with other religions is especially with those Christians that are Protestant. So in the Netherlands nowadays there are quite a lot of people that have as a religion the Islam, but well, up till now we have not cooperated with them in a regular way, but of course because of the presence of quite a lot of Protestants in the Netherlands, we have cooperated with them for a longer period of time. And if I think about these cooperations, then I think they date back especially from the 70s and the 80s of last centuries, and then there were quite a lot of discussions in the Netherlands on laws on abortion and euthanasia, and of course there were quite a lot of Christian people that tried to avoid these new laws. And then Catholics and Protestants cooperated in thinking abortion, in overthinking euthanasia, in thinking on the dignity of life. And it was very fruitful, so they had quite a good cooperation. Well, unfortunately, they couldn't prevent that those laws were accepted, and so we have abortion laws and euthanasia laws in the Netherlands, I think everybody knows. But for reflection and for cooperation with other religions, it was very fruitful. The second point of cooperation I was thinking of, that's in the social field. As you know, it wasn't mentioned today, but the Roman Catholic Church has a very good tradition in social rules, and for instance, for healthcare, it's important that everybody has the same access, so there is equal access to healthcare facilities in your country. That's a very basic principle of Christianity, and therefore quite a lot of Roman Catholics and Protestants cooperated in political parties to establish such a system. And in the Netherlands, during a period of time, Christians tried to enforce their strengths to cooperate in a political party of all Christians. And unfortunately nowadays it isn't so fruitful anymore, but it was in the past for such things. And I think that together with other parties it's important that we still have a system in which access to healthcare is possible for everybody, even for refugees. So that's the cooperation on social issues and insurance. The third point I was thinking of, that I think sticks to the presentation of Monsieur Pegoraro, that we could have cooperated in the relationship, on the relationship of patients, doctors and patients, nurses and patients. And I think, well, sometimes we did. I think there were conferences to inspire people, but well, it didn't result in a document or in a guideline or something like that, but it might have had influence on people, and it might have had influence in general. So these are 3 examples of a dialogue in the Netherlands among Roman Catholic healthcare workers and Protestant healthcare workers. And today, here in Albania, we are very curious in what way you cooperate with people from other religions, and especially because in Albania there are more different religions. So what I've read is that the majority of the population of Albania is Muslim, so they have Islam as their religion. There are quite a lot of Orthodox Catholics, and of course there are Roman Catholics, but maybe the interaction, the dialogue among these people and the possibilities for cooperation are different, or maybe even more easy. So today, now, the idea is that we can have a dialogue, a discussion together with you to share experiences of cooperation here in Albania and other countries. And we are very curious what we can learn from you, what can be applied in other European or countries. So, now the discussion is open, and everybody who would like to share an experience with us from an experience on interreligious dialogue and cooperation can come forward, and please take 5 minutes and not longer, so that many people can come forward, can come up and share their experience with us. So, Rok, you're the first one. Rok Siveljak from Croatia. Thank you.
So, distinguished presidency and dear colleagues, I want to send you all warm regards from Croatian Society of Catholic Doctors, and also to testimony one of the situations that healthcare workers in Croatia, but not only in Croatia, but in neighboring Bosnia and Herzegovina experienced 30 years ago. You know that 30 years ago there was a war affecting several countries, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina. And during that war, not only that different nations fight together, but also it was a war that was influenced by differences in religions between Muslims, Orthodox and Catholics. During that war, I won't explain nothing political what is behind this war, but also the healthcare system was affected by that war. And the interesting experience is that, for example, in Croatia, because I'm coming from Croatia, so I can testimony what happened during the 90s in our hospitals. We were fighting also with Serbs and with Muslims, but all the time, besides there was a war on the field. Patients and injured people from different parts of Croatia, but also from Bosnia, where another war was in the field, were sent to Croatian hospitals, and healthcare workers in Croatia were taking care also not only for Croats that were injured and that were sick during the war, but also some hospitals and from some parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina, both from Serbian part of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Bosnian and Muslim part of Bosnia and Herzegovina were sent to Croatian hospitals, and Croatian healthcare workers were taking care of these patients. Also, they were coming from the, let's say, different or other part from the field. So I think that it is a great testimony that healthcare workers were not affected by the conflict that was going on the field, but they were testimonying that all people are the same. So we are all the brothers and sisters, and that was a really unique testimony. I wanted to present some data regarding how many patients and how many healthcare workers were affected, but it was still a controversial topic that it is difficult to get the formal data and formal, but maybe for some other meetings we can get and present the actual documented data. But that is just, I wanted to testimony this exclusion of conflict between religions, and healthcare workers were excluded from this interreligious and international conflict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rock. So it's very good that in those difficult situations people don't feel anger and can help and take care of those that might be classified by others as the enemy. So I think that's very important. I think that maybe there's somebody else. I hope there will be somebody else who will be the next. Yes? Lotte from the Netherlands.
Hi, my name is Lotte Voets. I'm working in palliative care in the Netherlands. And I can share that especially the Muslims have been showing the respect for life as a very strong value for them. So we find that there are a lot of preparations how to deal with especially the Muslim discussion about the end of life, because sometimes doctors in the Netherlands can be quite clear about, well, we cannot cure you anymore. But then they have said, well, it's not up to you to decide whether someone cannot be cured. It's up to God. And therefore, we have been prepared to have a different way of discussing this phase from a curative period to a palliative phase in life, that we've learned more about. Maybe we cannot cure you from your disease, but we can offer you this. We can offer you the treatment for symptoms. And in this way, it's more respective towards the different periods in the disease and in the lives of people, because sometimes, and I think in this way, as a Christian or as a Muslim, we are more living from the perspective of life and the value of life, instead of at a certain point it's not worth anymore, it's not of value anymore, or it can be a bit of a more functional, reductionist way of looking at a disease. And I think in that perspective, especially the Muslims that have been getuigen, testifying of their faith, have given more strength to improve in our communication about the value of life. So I really want to thank them on behalf of this, and I think that especially as a Christian and as Muslims, we are more, in the Netherlands, I think we're very much united in promoting the value of life, and for me, especially in the end of life, against euthanasia laws and all these different ethical topics that we are sort of dealing with there.
Thank you. So, well, we do have, and there are starting some experiences in cooperation with Muslim people. Thank you. But maybe from Albania themselves, there must be experiences in cooperation with people from other religions. Yes, please come forward and tell the audience who you are, where you are working, in what kind of field you are working.
It's more easy for me to speak in Italian, it's a problem. Okay. Il mio nome è Adela Perolla, sono ematologa e lavoro nell'ospedale centrale Madre Teresa. Nella mia clinica sono dei pazienti i quali sono con la leuchemia, con cancri diversi di sangue e normalmente sono dappertutto. Questi pazienti sono di diverse religioni, potrebbero essere cattolici, musulmani, ortodossi e ci sono stati anche testimoni di Geova, con i quali abbiamo avuto il più... Ah, scusate. Ah, va bene, scusate. Ok. Ho capito. E il problema sarebbe stato con i pazienti testimoni di Geova, perché il nostro problema con loro è la donazione, dare del sangue a questi pazienti. Questo è stato il primo impatto. Noi facciamo la chemioterapia e normalmente nella fase di aplasia medolare loro dovrebbero prendere delle trasfusioni di sangue e in questo punto loro sono molto refrattari e non vogliono proprio. È stata una triste esperienza con una ragazza di 15 anni, la quale non era una testimone di Geova, però i suoi genitori erano, e loro erano quelli che decidevano sulla sua vita e hanno rifiutato la donazione e la presa del sangue della paziente, e la paziente purtroppo è morta. Questa è stata un'esperienza terribile perché la paziente era la mia paziente. Un'altra è stata una donna, la quale è andata in Grecia. Alla donna ho detto, proprio ho fatto una catechesi, potrei dire, per convincerlo a prendere del sangue, dicendo che il nostro Signore non ha detto che non dobbiamo prendere il sangue e normalmente non dobbiamo lasciare la nostra vita, cioè non possiamo fare una morte per le nostre decisioni. La morte sarebbe una decisione del nostro Signore e se ci dà delle opportunità di avere la vita, noi potremo usarle e in questo caso il sangue sarebbe una cosa tale. Però lei ha deciso di non fare la chemioterapia e è andata in Grecia. È viva, ma però non so la sua decisione. Questo è stato il punto difficile per noi in ematologia. Però vorrei dividere con voi due belle esperienze. Una sarebbe l'esperienza di una ragazza cattolica di Lartë, 14 anni, diagnosticata con il morbo di Hodgkin al 4° stadio, la quale è entrata in intervento. Abbiamo detto ai genitori che è proprio la fine, non possiamo fare niente per lei, e loro hanno chiesto l'ultima unzione. Ho chiesto a un prete di arrivare e ho chiesto al prete di fare l'ultima unzione, ma secondo la nostra religione, cioè per salvare la vita, non perché in Albania c'è questa idea, l'ultima unzione sarebbe per la morte. E ho detto fallo per questo. Ha fatto l'unzione, l'hanno presa la ragazza, sono andati a Lartë, non ho più avuto delle notizie. Questo è stato nel 1999 quando io ho preso la specializzazione di ematologia e nel 2015 è arrivata a trovarmi una ragazza e mi dice ti ricordi di me? Ed era proprio la stessa e non aveva nessuna malattia e non aveva fatto proprio niente. Questa è della parte cattolica. Poi avevamo avuto una ragazza che era musulmana, la quale ha avuto solo le piastrinopenie, cioè non aveva sangue dappertutto, sanguinava dappertutto. Tutti i trattamenti che abbiamo fatto, questo nel 2012, non hanno dato effetto. In un giorno siamo andati da lei che le piastrine erano tutto entro la norma e abbiamo detto ma cosa è successo? e lei rifiutava a dire cosa aveva preso e all'ultimo momento ci ha dato, vabbè, ho chiesto a un mio amico di portare da Mecca un po' di acqua di Zemzem, che era l'acqua che viene prodotta, che sarebbe, secondo la Bibbia, l'acqua che sorgeva nel momento in cui Ismaele ha battuto i piedi e piangeva. E questo è proprio lì, nella Mecca. Lei l'ha bevuta st'acqua e 3-4 giorni dopo tutte le cose sono andate alla norma. Per tornare indietro alla bellissima lettura del Monsignore, che c'è il medico, ma però c'è la fede. Cioè dobbiamo avere la fede. La fede, secondo me, guarisce tutto. La fede nel Signore è la base. Questo è questo che volevo dire. Grazie.
Thank you for your beautiful experience. And I think there is somebody else coming up. Yes?
Bendita, atëherë unë i quhem Mohamed Halile, jam infermier në Spitalet Rajonal Shkodër. Jam vullnetar gjysh në orët e para të krijimit të shoqatës malteze në Shqipërinë dhe kam një përvojë të bashkëpunimit ndërfetar. Unë kam marrë pjesë në vitin e mëshirës në 2016 si vullnetar në Vatikan. Pra, megjithse unë jam i fesë muslimane, e respektojmë dhe bashkëpunojmë me fe tjera që janë në ashtu. Dhe një debat interesant që u zhvillu në Vatikan me një koleg tonin, torinez, dhe tha, ju në Shqipëri ju ka falë Zoti 3 fe, dhe doni me mashtru të tjeret për bashkëpunimin që keni. Por, ai nuk e dita e emnin tem. Dhe në momentin që ashtu i thash, një gjë, unë quhem Muhamet dhe kam marrë me dëshirë, me vullnet për me shërby këtu. Dhe të ne nuk ka krishterë, musliman apo ortodoks, ata predikojnë të gjithë fenë e tyne, kurse shërbimin e marrin nga ne një lloj. Kolegë tonë aty i kena të gjithë feve dhe bashkëpunojmë në shërbim të smuri. Unë dëgjova profesorin që tha infermieri, mjeku, përveç materjes që është trupi njeriut, i lexojmë dhe shpirtin. Dhe në qoftë se ne bashkëpunojmë me shpirtin e tij, e kuptojmë dhe mund të animojmë edhe më mirë. Dhe një diçka që ne në Shkodër e kena dhe pak me humor, një ditë unë baj elektrokardiogramat dhe vjen një i pari pacient, ishte një katolik. Dhe e pys, më fali thëm, ne muslimant kur fillojmë punën, thojmë bismillah. Ju katolik qa thoni, se je i pari? Ne tha bëjmë kryq dhe thojmë Zot ose Krisht në anima. Edhe unë bëna kryq dhe thash Zot në anima. Ati ju dukt sikur unë e shërova. Dhe doli shumë i entuziasmum nga dhoma jeme ku është. Ka që janë paka shumë. Shë përshëndetje.
Thank you very much. Okay, so there are beautiful experiences from the floor. People, patients, work together, respect themselves, even go to the Vatican to help. Are there any additional, more experiences? More? Yes, there's a... Please come forward and...
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Amarda Zenko. I'm a dermatologist and I'm working in hospital Our Lady of Good Counsel from the last September. Actually, even I have a short working experience as a dermatologist, I have been established some relationship with health worker of different religions. For example, I've been working as a dermatologist in North Albania in Kukës districts for 3 years, and also in another private hospital, Italian-Albanian hospital, Salus. I've been watching myself in terms of this relation doctor-patient or doctor-doctor with my colleagues. I've never noticed a difference between people of different religions, because I believe that all we are son of God and we are equal. That's the point. I consider everyone the same. We are equal to each other.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No hands at this point. Maybe when there are no reflections at this moment, we can move to other experiences. And first, I would like to go to Monsieur Pegoraro. As mentioned by Vincenzo De Filippis, you are the Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy for Life in the Vatican, and a few years ago there has been a cooperation with people from Islam from the Pontifical Academy for Life on the issue of euthanasia, and it resulted in a document and a statement, and so it appeared to everybody to be a good cooperation and a good dialogue. And maybe you can give some comments, or you can tell something about this very special cooperation of the Pontifical Academy, so the Vatican, and those Muslim people.
Oh, thank you very much for this mention. In 2018, there was the signature of a document. It's a 4-page about the issue of supporting life, palliative care, no euthanasia and no assisted suicide among the 3 Abrahamic religions. So Christian religion, Jewish religion and Islamic, Muslim tradition. You can find the document also in English in the website of the Pontifical Academy for Life. And it is interesting because in the presence where the signature was in Vatican, with the representative of the Catholic Church. Also there was the Anglican pastor in Italy, and there was the representative of Jerusalem, of the Jewish community, the great rabbin from Jerusalem, and 3 people from Islamic countries, 2 from Indonesia, that is the country with the most big number of Islamic people, and 1 from Mali. He was a Sufi representative. It is not simple to combine Jewish people and Islamic people in the same room. So the mediation was the Christian people that were able to manage, and because there are a lot of, political, ideological conflicts among them. But it was very nice because there was the signature of all these important religions against euthanasia and against assisted suicide, and to cooperate to improve palliative care. Recently, in January of this year, there was another document supporting artificial intelligence and healthcare and values in this area with the Catholic Church, the Jewish community, and the Islamic community coming from Abu Dhabi. The Sheikh of Abu Dhabi were present in Rome. We went with the Pope. There was a nice meeting, and together the president of Microsoft and the general director of IBM and the vice general director of the Food Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Rome. And it was a very nice agreement. You can find also the document, and in which way is it possible to have a dialogue and cooperate. We know that it's not easy. For example, it was possible because between Israel and Abu Dhabi there is now a good relationship. Otherwise, no other opportunity. Only Indonesia for some reason. Otherwise, they don't come in the same room. But you remember that Pope Francis was in Abu Dhabi, and so there are some elements of dialogue, and in which way the religions can contribute to some basic values and principles. And these are very good experiences. And we know to encourage, because we need this work together in a world that has a lot of problems, tension, conflicts, and we need also the voices of religions in this area. So for us, these two experiences were very, very positive, and we try to go on with this cooperation and try to see which way we are able to work together for the good of human beings and to have a good care everywhere.
Thank you. And maybe I think I can ask Monsieur Cully the next question. So you are the delegate bishop for healthcare in Albania, and we have the three big groups with different religions, as I mentioned in the beginning, and you know better than I do. So Muslim people, Roman Catholics, and Orthodox Catholics. And in what way do you try to cooperate here in the country?
Vërtet jam shumë I emocionuar për takimin e sotëm ku bisedojmë së bashkuat jo vetëm mjekët katolik, por mjekët e besimeve të tjera. Është për ta vlerësuar që në vendin tonë tashmë e dim që vërtet dhe falenderojmë Zotin që kemi këtë klimë vëllazërore mes bashkëpunimit dhe jetesës mes njëri tjetrit. Një nga vlerësimet, mendoj, më të bukura ka qenë për popullin tonë shqiptar vizita e Papes Francesku në vitin 2014 që ka bën këtu në Tiranë. Vizita e parë e Papes apostolike në vendin e Shqiponjave, në vendin e Shqipërisë. Pikrisht për me vlerësu dhe me falenderu këtë popull që din me bashkëtu vllazërisht mes besimeve fetare. Kështu që ju falenderoj nga zemra se cilin për ju që jeni mjek, infermiera, vullnetar, që bashkëndajmë së bashkut gjithçka, të mirën, vështirësinë, jo të mirën. E kështu është ajo që tha që ecja së bashkut. Mendoj që ne mes njëri tjetrit në vendin tonë nuk di me pas dallime. Bashkëpunojmë perfekt me njëri tjetrin, quhemi dhe jemi vëllezër dhe motra mes njëri tjetrit. E kjo mendoj që do të vazhdojnë të na shoqërojnë gjithmonë gjatë shërbimit ton, gjatë ecjes ton, si vlezër dhe motra, pa dallim që ti je kështu, ti je ashtu. Për këtë arsye, faleminderit për dëshminë e mrekullueshme që ju e dëshmoni në spitalet, në qendrat ku shërbeni, duke dhuru ata që thaç në takimin tim, duke dhuru dashuri pa mas, dashuri të jashtëzakonshme për çdo njeri pa far dallime. Kështu që faleminderit nga zemra. Falenderoj vërtet presidentin që kam harruar në fillim, Vincenzo De Filipis, që ka dashur të organizojë një takim të tillë në Shqipëri. Dhe jemi këtu me shumë mjek nga vendet të ndryshme të Europës, pikrisht që ta shijojmë së bashkut edhe vllazërinë që ne kemi mes njëri tjetrit. Kështu që faleminderit që jeni bashkëngjitë edhe ju Shqipërisë në këtë takimin e sotëm.
Yes, so His Eminence would like to say something to us.
Parlo in italiano. No, volevo ricordare, primo che qui in Albania, per la verità, sono 5 i gruppi religiosi che, diciamo, danno questo bel esempio di armonia, e cioè i musulmani, poi questo gruppo che è sempre nell'area musulmana con caratteristiche un po' di sufi, come noi diremmo, che sono i Bektashi, poi ci sono gli ortodossi, poi ci sono i cattolici e poi ci sono anche gli evangelici, varie denominazioni cristiane riunite in quella che loro chiamano la fraternità evangelica. Veramente l'Albania come si distingue per l'esempio di convivenza armonica, rispettosa, pacifica fra questi 5 gruppi. Questa armonia non è che è una cosa scontata, no, bisogna anche sempre, come dire, costruirla, e bisogna proteggerla, e bisogna promuoverla, perché c'è sempre la tentazione di dire io sono più bravo di te, no? E appunto invece di promuovere questo sguardo che la dottoressa che ha parlato prima evidenziava, sottolineando che siamo tutti uguali, no? Cioè veramente che c'è questa profonda dignità umana che è la base della nostra umanità, e queste cose qui sono da proteggere, da promuovere, no? Per cui anche mi sembra, ecco, volevo dire, mi sembra che voi, le persone che operate nel campo della salute fisica e per, diciamo, prendersi cura delle malattie delle persone, mi sembra che voi, come dire, siete come una palestra, come un luogo in cui in particolare, come dire, avete la possibilità di manifestare questa solidarietà, questa armonia, questo lavorare insieme, no? Questo anche studiare insieme, questo aiutarsi insieme, questo scambiarsi esperienze insieme, no? Per la buona salute dei cittadini albanesi, no? Io sono da 2 anni che sono qui in Albania, ecco, e ho avuto la gioia di conoscere i leaders di questi 5 gruppi, so che portano veramente in cuore questo desiderio, no, di impegnarsi, come dire, i musulmani per aiutare gli altri se ci sono dei bisogni per essere aiutati, i cattolici per aiutare i musulmani se ci sono bisogni per aiutare. Però è sempre anche una conquista, no? Non è una cosa, come dire, scontata. Quindi bisogna ogni giorno lavorare per questo, no? E mi pare che c'è tanta buona volontà qui in Albania.
Thank you. Monsignor, may I ask you a question? So I think that what we can learn till now from all the experiences and from your experiences that in Albania people live in some kind of special brotherhood. Brotherhood. So they feel like brothers and sisters, they feel equal. But if you think on issues that can be improved, for instance, what we heard yesterday evening is that access to healthcare is not equal for everybody. So if you think of issues in society or maybe issues within healthcare, are there certain fields that you think you can specially cooperate with the other religious people and for instance more in a difficult way with those that are not religious?
Well, you tell me something that I am not really aware of. You mean that that people may receive different attention according to their religious belief? No, I hope that it is not true. That here in Albania everybody receives the care, the attention that he needs. No, and I am aware also that there are Muslim organizations, for instance, who sought the help in the field of cancers or oncology problems for little child, no, for babies, to the Bambin Gesù in Rome, no, which is a first-class Catholic hospital in the care for caring of babies affected by oncological problems. It seems to me that the situation is ordinary for support, for reciprocal support, for reciprocal solidarity and cooperation. I don't see differences from this point of view. I don't know if a doctor like Don Mirë can say something about this. Vieni.
Okay.
Good morning to all. As a doctor, I am a bit out of the routine of every other doctor in here because I am a priest as well, so I have to take care of my parish and other duties I have. But I can say a few things without taking a lot of time, and then I would like to add another thing from me. Is that in Albania we do have some problems. We do have universal healthcare coverage. That's the rule of the law. But the practice is not the same. Because of corruption, because of other problems, Very often people don't feel treated properly in the public hospitals. Not saying that that's the case, that's the fear. And when people are scared that they will not get the best treatment possible, they go to private hospitals. What religions do, especially in the case of the poor, because the rich, they have their own channels to go to their favorite doctor and have all the care possible and not possible. What religions do is try to help by advising the healthcare system and the government, for that matter, on paying more attention to the poor. I believe that that's one of our main duties in here, to remember everybody, that dignity that we talked before, that everybody is equal, and everybody has their untouchable dignity in front of God and in front of everybody else. And if that were to be considered every day more, if our teaching were to be better teachings, of course, and reach more people, then we wouldn't have some of the problems we have in our healthcare system. I would like to add, I don't want to take too much time, but a little reflection on something. This morning, I was reading about a new trend that is coming thanks to gender ideology, that my body doesn't correspond to who I am, so I can change my gender. Today I was reading something very interesting, that that's not only relating anymore to gender, it's relating to physical situations. And especially there are some people who are saying that I don't feel like a healthy person, I feel like a paralyzed person, so from now on I only become a paralyzed person, and some of them are going to hospitals to get, for example, a rupture of their spinal cord or things like that, which are going more and more into fashion. Why I'm saying this? Gender and many other things. Religions, all religions, have the duty, because of their connection with the divinity, to remember people that every one of us in different situations, it's perfect. It has been created perfect. And the job of religions and medicine, it's not to change who we are. It's to make it better, to treat when there is disease, and to help embrace ourselves. As Catholics, we do, very often they talk about a bias. Religious doctors affiliated with religion. There is no bias. I, as a doctor, treat every patient that I have is in a specific field of my specialization, and I don't see them as that is Muslim, that is atheist, or anything else. But my faith helps me to better live, to better enact, to better practice, because in front of me there is somebody not just to use and get money from. In front of me there is a son of God, a daughter of God, and if there were more people that believe in God and practice the best possible care of medicine, I do believe that not just healthcare system in Albania, but all over Europe would be way better. Thank you.
Thank you. But wait, please. So I think it's very interesting, and of course you mentioned gender ideology and the other therapies in paralyzed persons, and then well, what struck me was that you say, as a religion, we have to teach people that they are created as perfect humans. And is there in Albania a way, a structure, something to find the cooperation with the other religions?
Yes, in Albania there is an interreligious institution. I don't know how to council. Thank you, Monsignore. There is an interreligious council which generally they meet. I don't know how often now, I'm not inside the matter exactly, but they very often produce also declaration documents. And I do believe that when people see not religions going on their own ways, but cooperating, I do believe that, now I'm a priest, maybe I'm biased. Albania is still Albania, I do believe, because very often also if you go in the 40s, and the story will tell you that, because religious leaders decided to look for the to work for the better of all Albanians. And that is happening. It's not very easy. It's not very easy. And to be a Catholic, it's very complicated nowadays in Italy and every other country in Europe. So, but it's working as much as it's working.
Thank you. Yes. And who is the other one? Who would like to there, left? Okay, well. 2, 3, I think. Okay. Well, welcome.
So thank you for giving me this opportunity. As I can see, you, Professor Itersum, are trying to understand what does it mean, this religious coexistence in Albania. But don't try. You never can understand it. Because even we don't understand it. It's something which is beyond doctrines. Because sometimes we don't have even a definition for that. And we speak about this coexistence just if we are with foreigners. If we are just together with Albanians, there's never an issue to be discussed. This is part of our way of life. There is no doctrine. And I think this is the reason why we have such a nice brotherhood, if we want to have a definition. Because we don't have a doctrine. Because if we would have or develop a doctrine of it, then there will be absolutely somebody who will violate the doctrine. And I think this is the way. And I would just recommend you, if you want to read something, so there is a very interesting book written in 1867 from an Austrian diplomat and a scholar who used to be also the counselor of Austria-Hungary in Yanina, today in North Greece. And he visited Albania in that time. But you never can imagine what was Albania in 1867. No roads, no infrastructure, nothing, no schools, simply nothing. And his method was go to the springs or the source of rivers and make the way to the sea and write down everything. And he did this. And during his fantastic journey, one day he went to Lura. Lura is let's say a smaller region in Albania, northeast Albania. And then he went to a family to overnight, because in Albania in that time, even the definition hotel was not existing, because the hotel was every house. There were no hotels. And he went to a family. But Lura is a buffer zone between Catholic, between Mirë, which is pure Catholic, traditionally, historically, and Dibra, which is mostly Muslim. And because of this buffer zone, there are also mixed or interreligious marriages. At that time, criticized from the doctrine, not absolutely correct with the doctrine, but this was a fact. Interreligious marriages. And the rule was, if a Catholic woman got married with a Muslim, the families had a deal. The children would be raised equally Catholic and Muslims. And this was the case in this family. The author is Johann Georg von Hahn. And he states that in the family was the housewife was a Catholic lady, and they had 4 children. And the lady prepared the dinner, the meat, but because of the different religions of the children, she put in the same pot veal and pork. And then if she distributed the food to the children, said, you Mark, okay, you get your pork, and you are Ibrahim, you get your veal, but from the same pot. It was absolutely so. In terms of doctrine, you can discuss. But this was a living reality. Somehow, it's still alive, this way of living together, because the religion, in our terms, is not really elaborated in terms of high theologies. It's pure, authentic, like Pope Francis says, at the beginning, there were just 10 commandments. Today we have 10 million rules and doctrines, and it's difficult. But we, because of being not developed, thanks God in these terms, we are authentic, you are maintaining the original faith, which tells us that everybody is the same, from God given, and religions are just simply part of our identity, like my name. And everybody accepts me with my name, with my color of hairs, and this is very simple. And I think that we would be able to keep it simple, because if we will complicate, it will be difficult. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it's a very wonderful take-home message from a historical viewpoint. So, I think there are 2 reactions, and I think then thereafter we have to move on to the next presentation. So, this is the first one.
Përshëndetje, unë jam Pauloja, jam infermier I kirurgjisë për 15 viteve në Spitalin e Renal Shkodër. Gjej rastin me ju përshëndet tanëve, ju falenderoj shumë për këtë takim shumë të domosdoshëm dhe shumë domethënës për ne. Pikpamjet fetare faktikisht shifen shumë më pak, siç e tha edhe zotni drejtori. Këtu ndoshta në bashkëbisedimin toni na jepet një diçka më e madhe, pavarësisht se në ambientet tona ku jetojmë dhe ku punojmë janë absolutisht të pa llogaritshme. Një diçka du me thanë, duken se unë vi prej një praktiket ose prej një institucionit publik, ku I napet shërbim çdo kuj, ju baj me dije dhe ju garantoj që në Spitalin e Shkodrës, ku në gjaj rastin t'i falenderoj dhe jam I nderuar që jam shkodran, dhe që punoj në atë spital, unë rjall nga një familje katolike, e cila ka kanë gjithmonë me rregullat e katolicizmit, me njek gjithçka që na ka dhënë I malli Zot dhe të partë tonë që na kanë lënë. Dhe di me I pa në maksimum çdo gjë që mund nollin mes feve të ndryshme ose një përbuzje ose një mosdhënie e shërbimit, por këta gjëra në Spitalin e Shkodrës nuk ekzistojnë. Jo ma në religionet fetare, por edhe në pakicat, cilat janë shtres vulnerabel dhe shifen ndoshta me një sy tjetër, sidomos nga politikat e brishta që ka shteti jonë, kurse në institucionet shëndetësore ato shifen një lloj si një person I pasur, si një person I varfën, si një person me ngjyrë, si një person pa ngjyrë, si një katolik, si një musliman, nuk ka absolutisht asnjë lloj dallimit. Por një diçka tjetër do të thoja. Politikat politikat e shtetit tonë shqiptar, ose kja kohë tranzicionit që po zgjat pa fund për 30 vitesh, kanë lanë dikun mazdoret dhe një pjesë e vogël e ignorancës mundet mu përdor në të keqen e popullit, ose me ba diçka të prekshme të kja temë që na diskutojmë. Ashtë një diçka si na shofi me prekun për çdo ditë me dorë, ndoshta është një diçka si ne na ka penalizu edhe në opinionin ndërkombëtar për me fitu disa drejta tona si shtet, por e vërteta është kjo. Mundet mu përdor një pakicë e vogël, cilat janë gjana kret zero me thanë, por nuk varet i gjithë diskutimi në një pakicë kaq të vogël njerëzish. Unë falenderoj Zotin si kena mundësin për me allanë mbështetjen grupit ose pacientave ose atyne njerëzve që kanë nevojë për nimin tonë, por edhe një diçka tjetër do të shtoja. Për eutanazin, sa po filloi diskutimi, për eutanazin edhe po do të kishe fut këtu edhe abortin, që nuk është absolutisht ma pak i rëndësishëm se eutanazia. Është një diçka si bjen vdekjen, është një diçka si nuk na lejohet ne si katolik praktikant, as me menu, por as me diskutu për hatër të disa pakicave ose disa njerëz që po mundohen me ndryshu botën me këta muhabete si i lëshojnë ose me këta tema si i fillojnë dhe i lanë për me i diskutuna. Eutanazia, aborti, janë pa lejushme për ne. Feja jo nuk ka kuptim kjo se fillon aja. Por sot luksi se na pretendojmë për me ecë, luksi se dona me njek, ka shkatru familjen, prind po qohen për çdo ditë më tepër në për institucionet e plegjve. Kja është bërthama, në kjo se na nuk mojmë, nuk punojmë për familjen tonë, nuk kena se si me kanë katolik ose njerëz devotshëm për pacientin në spital. Absolutisht. Në kjo se na nuk dojmë familjen, një djalë si nuk e sheh prinin e vetë, si nuk e sheh nanën, baben, me ka 1 muj, 2 muj, 3 muj, nuk ka drejt për me i lanë një shërbim, nuk ka zemër, nuk ka shpirt për me i lanë shërbim një plakut, ndoshta me një amputacion kamet, ose ndoshta me një smunje tumorale, si mund ketë.
Thank you.
Faleminderit për ju.
And I think we had another, final, very short. And it is easy for me because it is not necessary to summarize this session because the next speaker, Professor Joseph Glaser, will summarize everything. So we can just end. Well, please, 2 minutes.
Hello. I am Timotei. I am a medical doctor. I currently work as a resident of dermatology, but before that I worked as a emergency doctor, and I worked, if I forgot to mention, I come from Slovenia, and before that I worked in the hills, in this very dislocated unit. And of course you were alone basically in the hills with paramedics, and those paramedics, I'm a Catholic, a lot of them were Muslim, and a couple of speakers before me pointed out that there is never a problem with when you're fighting for life, and that was precisely my work experience, because you are united in the team in those crucial moments, because in everybody's minds it's really clear we are fighting here for life and we are fighting against suffering, and and we were really united in that. And as the speaker before me pointed out, the problems I had was always with ideologies which were foreign to, let's say, Abrahamic way of thinking, because they introduced the concept of introducing the death to kill. With Muslims, with Jews, there were never any problems, because there were we were our ethic system is basically, you know, it's oriented like compass towards north. It's oriented towards life, and you know the problems always come with you know work environment where you know you have to fight the debt on one side, and on the other you have to, you know, actively push it on people, you know, with topics as my as speaker before me has pointed out.
Thank you very much. I think that's it's fruitful, and it's important your point on the Abrahamic religions.
Mendoj që para se të kalojmë te tema fundit, 10 minuta pushim që të pushojnë pak edhe ata që kanë përkthy, falenderoj nga zemra për përkthimin, janë loll, por 10 minuta pushim, pastaj takohemi këtu.
It's not working. I try.
We can put here the materials. We can put here your materials in this notebook. Ah, okay, okay.
It's alive, that's fine. So just...
Ah, okay.
Yes, I did during the break, and then it was working all the time, but it went sleeping like this. This is mine, yes. Too long, maybe. If people will be hungry, they want to have. If people will be hungry because of they want to have lunch,
no,
they killed me. Yes, that's. It seems
can,
like it's me.
Okay, now it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. finally, yes, all my narcissistic genes will be experiment.
Possiamo riprendere i lavori?
So there is still 45 minutes to go. Kill me, right? Who would put my slides on? Oh gosh. Like this?
Allora possiamo riprendere i lavori. Sit down, please. Il professor Josef Glaza è professore di medicina all'Università di Bratislava, è professore ordinario ed è il primo vicepresidente della FEAMC. È un medico cattolico molto impegnato, membro anche della Pontificia Accademia, e sono veramente contento che a concludere questa nostra giornata sia il professore e amico Josef Glaza, perché c'è bisogno di fare la sintesi di quello che abbiamo detto e di lanciare una prospettiva per tutti. Colgo l'occasione per ringraziare tutti quelli che sono intervenuti perché ci hanno molto arricchito. Grazie. La parola al professor Glaza.
Thank you. I cannot speak Albanese. I'm sorry for that. So I am just to use my bad English to communicate with you, and I am very grateful to the translators that are making for you possible to understand me. And sometimes translators are giving even better language and even better understanding of the problem and of what one wants to say. So they should be really applauded and highly appreciated. Well, I was put in an easy and at the same time a difficult position. First of all, originally I was asked just to wrap up the conference. And later on I was asked to give a small lecture or something like that, like you see in a program. So I tried to do the combination of both in a few moments. But before doing that, let me to tell you, let me to be a little bit personal. And this is my very first time here in Albania, my very first time in Tirana. And I am very moved, I must tell you. Well, there was a Holy Mass in the morning, and I have full eyes of tears. And I am a normal physician, you know, I am facing deaths and all these kinds of stuff every day. But it was very special for me to come here, really. And, you know, I am coming from a very teeny country in Europe. That was the part of the former Soviet Empire. So we were living under so-called real socialism or communism. My family was a persecuted Christian family. This was not a bloody persecution during my lifetime. This was not that bad, it probably was here. But still it was very considerable. It was unseen persecution. there were invisible martyrs of conscience. Yes, we do have also the martyrs, the real martyrs in Slovakia, and I have met two religious here from Slovakia, the sisters, so they can explain. And some of those martyrs have been beatified recently already, and others are in pipeline. So this was a very difficult time with this communist persecution. They were also, you know, serving the untruth, the lie. They were putting the people against each other. So the heritage of this communism in my country and in many other countries from the former Soviet bloc is full of scars, is full of garbage, is full of very difficult issues that are still not put right. And then coming here, well, I was really much, you know, surprised. I understand that your country has difficulties and has a really difficult time to build up, to develop, and to bring life. I was telling the people coming to Slovakia after communism was expelled from our public square, but it is still somehow in the souls of the people. It still is somehow present, unfortunately, after 30 years of the free development. So I used to tell them the colors were coming back, yes? This colorful, happy, free life. But it brought in also a lot of problems, a lot of other ideologies that are maybe not that bloody at the first sight, but are equally bloody in fact. This doctor and priest was mentioning gender ideology, but there are other ideologies. They are very bad. And maybe one of the tasks, obligations of us as religious people, and I would say people from all religions that could come together somehow, this is our obligation to face these new lies, these new ideologies, these very dreadful, bloody, devilish, I would say, ideologies that are preying upon our people, that are preying upon our nations, that are preying upon our countries. And this is equally bad, and this is equally bloody, and this is equally dangerous as the late communism was. I dare to say, because there are not too many people from Central Eastern Europe here nowadays, that these issues are not completely well understood by our more Western brothers, you know, the brothers from other countries, because they do not have this experience of living with a highly ideologized country, with, in the situations with the real persecutions, with the bloody or non-bloody persecutions of the people. And not only the people of faith, but I would say the people of good will. Yes, the people that were striving for good. So I was very much surprised how the Tirana is beautifully looking, really. I met a good Samaritan yesterday evening, because I was lost, because I was given the wrong address, and the taxi was delivering me to this proper address, but there was nothing. And then suddenly there was a man cleaning the paths there. Probably he was an angel, because he was fluently speaking English, being the cleaning man, yes. He organized everything for me, including the taxi, including he paid for my taxi because I did not have so much cash. So there was the true good Samaritan, and he was probably Muslim, as far as I understood. Yeah? So after this being personal, let me go to what I have prepared, and I want to offer you just a few thoughts. This would be not too complex, I hope. We have heard from this young man that we should not make it too difficult and too complicated, because we could be lost in laws and in our very deep thoughts and so on. Well, they are also necessary, but the real life should take the precedence, yes, and we should be firstly the good people, the people of the faiths, the competent, good physicians and healthcare workers, and then the rest will be given to us, I strongly believe, from above. So let me share with you a few thoughts about the possible common pathways of service to human life and health. These common pathways of the health professionals, doctors and others of different religions. In the situation when we really see maybe paradigmatic change in medicine and in healthcare. This is everywhere, yes? And during the so-called post-COVID period and beyond. Try to move. Many people are saying that we are living in a multi-crisis environment. Not just one crisis, many, many crises. Yes, probably the biggest challenges of today still is the pandemic and is the war, the terrible war that needs maybe several miracles from above to end. And this is a really horrible war. Ukraine borders with Slovakia, so we are the bordering country, and this would be another talk about these horrors. But we are not without our good old or bad old problems and challenges. They just are not going away, and the new ones are coming, not only with these ideologies, but also with the progress of medicine and so on and so forth. And I strongly believe that in this healthcare and contemporary and coming new medicine and healthcare, the contributions of the people of faith, I would use the plural here, is very much needed. I would say much more even than before. This is very busy slide. I apologize. I only want to tell you that how I see it, and many other people do see it the same. The medicine nowadays is under enormous pressures. They are new technologies. They are social and economical pressures. We were listening to them a little bit. Yes, they were here and there in the talks of the people in the panel. There are some pressures from other professions upon the healthcare professions themselves, from legislators, politicians, health insurance, and many, many others, from alternative medicines or traditional medicines. They are stealing a lot of resources, in fact, from the scientific medicine nowadays. We have a lot of anti-movements, anti-psychiatry, anti-science, anti-vaccination, and so on, at least in my country. We have a lot of pressures from lifestyles, people, and wellness, and so on and so forth. And there are huge pressures from ideologies. This is not only gender ideology out there. And we have so-called ethical pluralism. So it is a very complex sphere. Within the healthcare, how we are allowed to provide the care to our patients. Also, our healthcare systems are under enormous pressures. This is the old truth that the healthcare needs are much exceeding healthcare resources in any country. But nowadays, we even have new scarcities, even in the very well-off, in the very rich countries. In the certain Central Eastern Europe, we are suffering by terrible, unseen health personnel shortage. Terrible. Of course, our good doctors are traveling to the West or overseas, but they are missed at home. Our nurses are working in more rich countries, but they are terribly missed in Slovakia, and so on. We are facing new challenges of rationing, even up to the triage decisions. It was seen during the pandemic, and I was writing for my ministry the guide on triage. So which patients will be given the chance of survival to be given the respiratory machines, because there were just too many. And there were just too little machines and too little teams to operate them. There is the new role of the physician as a gatekeeper. And there are new decision makers just going into the field of medical decision making. And you see them listed in the slide. There are some tensions, public versus private sector. They are terrible in my country, in Slovakia. I don't know how it is here, but it could come. And then it is very difficult because money are corrupting conscience, are corrupting ethics of healthcare professions a lot. So it's maybe behind the horizon here, but maybe it's present also. I have listened that there is a private, of course, sector here and the public sector. And the public sector probably, at least in Slovakia, is very much underfunded and not very well managed in my country. And sometimes these all changes are making the environment within the healthcare unfriendly for patients and unfriendly for the healthcare professionals. So these are terrible challenges that we face, at least in my country, but I think in many others. The goals of medicines are also changing. Bob Dylan's song, yes, the times are changing, would be very, very appropriate here. Contemporary medicine goals, you see, still saving the life, restoring or improving health, and so on and so forth. But what about the future medicine that is already here? Something like human enhancement, body-machine relationship, making from the people cyborgs, medicalization of happy life, prolongation of life, AI, artificial intelligence in medicine, downloading the soul? No. Yeah. Different, very interesting things. So it seems like mankind is going for the brave new world or other dystopias. And sometimes it seems like the science fiction books are just already outdated, are just behind the realities we are seeing. There is the responsible biomedicine term. The responsibility nowadays of us as health professionals is very broadened, is very much broadened. This is not only towards the patient or relatives, friends, but to the society and to the future generations as much, to our own profession. And there is a bulk of responsibilities nowadays that we face. And I think we cannot face them alone. We should face them somehow together. And I think the people of goodwill, the people of faith, I would use plural here, the people of faiths, yes, should somehow really come together to save the world, to save the medicine, and to save contemporary and future healthcare from the dangers and challenges that are really present already now, but are still coming. Just a small joke here. Oh, this is not for a joke. These are sustainable developments of United Nations. And of course you see there is the good health and well-being. This is the medical or healthcare goal. But there are other goals that are very closely connected. I put them in dotted squares. So there are many, yes, that are just connected with healthcare and medicine nowadays. And then I just noted that there is the goal 18. Yes, they put it like this. They do not have it, but I named this empty square the goal of 18. And I propose this for this. This is missing goal, but this is probably the main, the most important one that is still not there in the full picture. And maybe this is why these sustainable development goals are failing. Unfortunately, they are much failing. And I think this is because this number 18 is missing, so the goals do not have the spirit. Yes, this is a missing goal and missing direction out there. And I think the people's of faith contribution is absolutely necessary if this world, if medicine, if healthcare is to stay, is to survive, and is to even develop sustainably. Let us put it this way. There are many questions for us, for every one of us as healthcare professionals of any faith, and even for our good brothers and sisters that claim they are without any faith. But I don't think you can work in this demanding environment of healthcare medicine and auxiliary professions, helping professions, without having some faith. I strongly doubt it. So what are the unique and common inspirations stemming from our faith? Then this will be my attempt for the conclusions of today. But, yes, before going to these conclusions, I still a little bit follow on my questions. So we could ask ourselves, what could be done and what could we do, really? I think we should know what's going on, what others are doing, where we could collaborate, what's the good, what's bad, what's evil. It's very difficult to distinguish nowadays. It's very difficult, and we have to put a lot of effort to that, to discern, to understand, and then act wisely, competently, and effectively, and at the same time ethically. I mean morally, responsibly, and adequately. Yes, to bringing real solutions for real people, for the real conditions in our hospitals and where we are. And we need to do that, and it was also mentioned by many of the speakers, or several of the speakers, as physicians and health professionals of faith. And I would again use a plural of faces, of different faces, yes? And we should act with reason, a wit, a competence, and a compassion, in accordance with our faith, with its strength, and its spiritual appeal and support, because we get a lot of support from our faith. We do. And with collaboration of people of goodwill, and especially including the people of faith. And this is one of my really favorite pictures. I got it from my sisters, family sisters, I would say, for my 50th birthday. And it goes with me since then all the time. This is, of course, the picture of Good Samaritan. And I use it sometimes to explain the healthcare ethics, because you have everything there. You have health professionals. You have even ambulance out there. This is a horse, yes, the ambulance. You have the treatment, you have compassion, but you have also competency. Yes, this was probably the best medicine of that time in the parable. You have the suffering patient, yes, the patient without much value. The patient was not of value for the priest, for the seminarian, because they were walking by, not stopping, yes. And then there was the enemy, even of a wrong faith. Yes, the Samaritans were, as you know, not of proper Jewish faith, but he was moved by compassion and he stopped. And there is also even health insurance in the parable. Do you know it? Where is the health insurance there? Huh? Paid, but this is the payment. But this was not only the payment. This was something like, I give you this as the first installment, and if you spend more, I repay you when coming back. So this is something like health insurance 2,000 years ago, yes? And just coming from a relatively poor country, you know, Slovakia is not very rich country. It's much richer than many countries in the world, but not very rich. This is also the situation of healthcare personnel. When you want to do charity, you have to go out and earn money. So this good Samaritan went out to earn money, to do the he went to market, yes, to make money, and he promised to the hospital, well, I come back and repay. Yeah. So, well, what I want to say in conclusion of this slide is that these challenges that I briefly mentioned before might seem enormous, might seem beyond our influence, beyond us and being able anything to do about them. So I think the most important is this, to give the personal care to any patient. Not only about a genetically determined personal care, but the true personal care in the good relationship with our patient. This is becoming more and more difficult in the conditions of the modern healthcare. Yes, it is being dehumanized and so on and so forth. This could be another talk on it. I think the people of good will and the people of good faith should come together and resist this dehumanizing of the modern medical care and healthcare as well. And now my last slide, and this is what I offer you as a draft conclusion or something from our symposium. I was drafting it in the morning and a little bit later still. So what are the unique and common inspiration stemming out from our faces? Yes, again, plural. I believe that it is our vision or visions, and our understandings, plural again, of our patients and their loved ones as having an eternal destiny and an absolute value, anyone human being. And this is becoming quite a unique standpoint in contemporary healthcare, and we should defend this very vigorously with all people of good will. Another point, this is our belief that we are responsible not only to us, to our patients, to our communities, to our nations, to our countries, but also to someone above us, to our God. A lot is stemming from this. Third point, our shared respect and appreciation of human life and health of our patients and of everyone that go up, like Pope Francis reminds us many times, to all creation, to all life. Yes, we should appreciate, we should love, we should respect, we should help. And I believe, and this is my proposal for us, that this may allow us to better share our common human destiny. And it was mentioned already by several speakers. To share our paths upon earth and those of our patients and their loved ones. This may allow us to better share and mutually support our medical knowledge and competency, because we need to be as competent, as clever as possible. Because this is the absolute necessity for us, yes, in our professions. So to share and mutually support our medical knowledge and competency for the good of everyone, I would say. And also, this may allow us to better share our paths in different realms, in medicine and healthcare, defense of human life and health against the old and new contemporary threats, in the realm of social and charity work and care, and in compassion, and I would dare to say love, to our patients. It was beautiful, beautiful interventions, yes, about how the love is absolute necessity nowadays in medicine and in healthcare. And it was beautifully said and very rightly said by our beloved bishop, yes, in his first intervention today. This was very deep, and I would be very, very happy having the text, but I was even more happy to listen to it this morning. And we are nothing, this is the Christian view of St. Paul. Yes, this is this beautiful canticle about love, yes, in one of his letters. We are nothing without love. And I believe that in all religions, the essence of the humane approach to the fellow human beings is just this, is just love. So we can share this compassion and love to our patients. And this way we can share, and this may allow us doing better in practice of our professions. They are not only a medical profession, this is not a profession of nursing, of psychology, of many other needy health professions, helping professions. Yes, with dignity, competency, satisfaction, and true joy. So, this is from my side, and just allow me to show you a small picture of Bratislava, our capital. This is the blue Danube down there. It's not blue, but there is a beautiful wall by Johann Strauss, yes, upon the blue Danube, so you see it. Bratislava Castle, Bratislava Cathedral. You see I am a strong local patriot coming from the small but very beautiful mountainy country. I loved to see from the air when coming here your beautiful mountains. I would love to come back. So thank you very much for your attention.
Grazie Josef, grazie professor Gladza per questa bella relazione ricca di entusiasmo e di prospettive. E adesso lascio la parola a Monsignor Chiuli per la chiusura di questa giornata e per andare poi a pranzo.
Mendoj që kemi arrit në përfundimin e kësaj paradite. E ka bot bukur këtë takim prania se cilit për ju është fytyra, se cilit për ju është që është e buzëqeshur në këtë takim të mrekullueshëm që kemi pas gjatë kësaj paraditeje. Faleminderit, dëshiroj t'i falenderoj edhe një herë prapë nga zemra për kthysit që na kanë ndihmuar që ta kuptojmë gjithçka që është thënë sot. Por sot nuk kemi fol 3 gjuhë, anglisht, italisht, shqip, kroatisht. Kemi fol një gjuhë të vetme, gjuhën e dashurisë. Jemi kuptu se cili perfekt me këtë gjuhë të mrekullueshme, kështu që faleminderit. I falenderoj të gjithë ata që kanë organizuar këtë paradite, këtë takim vëllazëror, sidomos Fra Rugjeron, presidenti i Fondacionit Zoja Këshillit Mirë, Atë Pasquale, gjithë bashkëpunëtorët, me një klimë mrekullueshme që për mua është hera parë që kam organizuar si komision i shëndetësisë në këtë nivel tamam të duhur. Kështu që i falenderoj nga zemra secilin që ka dhënë kontributin e vet. Paraditja tashme njëherë do dalim këtu, është një moment vllazëror, do qëndrojmë së bashku, është një tip koktejl së bashkut. E pastaj është momenti masdites, kush mundet të qëndrojnë në orën 6 të darkës, është takimi i mjekëve të rinj nga Tirana edhe nga dioqezet e tjera nëse mundet të qëndrojnë. Por takimi kryesor ka qenë ky i paradites, kështu që pas dite pastaj presim mjekët e tjerë që munden me ardhur këta që janë afër, bëjmë një takim edhe me mjekët evropian që janë këtu në mesin tonë. Kështu që faleminderit nga zemra, takohemi në drek.